Hi, I'm Owen, the host of the Australian Finance Podcast. This podcast is proudly sponsored by BetaShares, one of the leading providers of ETFs here in Australia. Serving thousands of financial advisors and over 1 million investors, BetaShares manages tens of billions of dollars on behalf of investors right across the country. I'm proud to partner with BetaShares on the Australian Finance Podcast, Australia's premier financial podcast, because there is great alignment in the long-term philosophy shared by both businesses. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Australian Finance Podcast.
I'm Gemma Mitchell and welcome to another episode of the Australian Finance Podcast. Today, we are diving into a conversation that goes beyond dollars and cents. We're talking all about sustainability and how small changes can lead to big impacts for both your wallet, but also the planet. So I'm very excited to introduce you all and welcome Lottie Dalziel to the podcast. Welcome, Lottie.
Thanks for having me, Gem. I'm so excited.
I know we've been trying to get this in the works for a little while, so I'm glad our schedules finally linked up and we can have a chat. I actually have Glenn James, so shout out to Glenn James to thank for hooking this up, because he actually reached out to us and said after you were on his podcast how brilliant you were. So big thank you to him for introducing us.
Thanks, Glenn. No pressure at all for this episode.
And so we'll chat about some different stuff. But if you guys want to hear more about Lottie and what she's doing, I'm going to link show notes and where you can contact her and everything. But there is a great episode over at the Money podcast with Glenn James as well. Plug for another podcast. I don't know. Editors might cut that out. We'll see.
No, we're all friends.
We are all friends. He's a friend of the show. But let's talk about Lottie. So you're an award-winning sustainability advocate. You're an author. You're the founder of Banish, which is like a business about sustainability without blowing your budget, which you can tell us a bit more about. But you also have a bit on. You've done a TED Talk. You've been in Forbes 30 under 30. And your new book is out, 365 plus ways to save the planet and your money at the same time. That is a pretty impressive rap sheet.
Thank you. Yeah, been busy to say the least, I think we can say, and finishing it off with a book title that is so long that it feels that like, describe what you do in 25 words or less.
No, it's so good. And the actual book, so I bought it obviously to support you and to read it before this, but it's such good like quality and the color. Like, you know how sometimes you get a book and it's just, you know, like the cover's beautiful, but then inside it's just like a book, right? But yours is actually like really, really nice. It's an impressive book.
A luxury book. No, I love it. And it was really exciting to bring it to life, and a lot went into it. Like, it's all made from recycled paper, of course. There's no high gloss finish because we want it to be easily able to be recycled, and also no extra additives and things like that. So no, it's been really exciting to see it come to life. I do love reading online and doing like the ebook thing, but I must admit I'm a little bit biased with this one. I think the hard copy is the best.
Yeah, so I love a book and I've like got a bookshelf full of beautiful books, but I don't actually read books. I always get the audio version, but I'll like buy the book because I love having them on my bookshelf, and I'll read them and like flick through them. But if I'm going to like really, I do take in information much better if I'm listening to it. So I do get the audio book as well. Is yours on audio?
No, it's not.
It'd be a bit hard too because it's like recipes and different stuff.
That's the thing. There's not many, because there is so many diagrams as well and so many tables. It's kind of hard to explain.
It would all be like, and refer to this attachment and this and yeah. But it is a beautiful book, so it is absolutely worth purchasing. So we'll put that in there, the show notes. But yeah, tell us about like, how did this all kick off for you? Have you always been into sustainability and saving the planet? Is this kind of like a new thing? You know, how did this all start?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't think I haven't always been living this way. It's actually been only about 7 or 8 years now, which doesn't sound like, for me, that sounds like a long time, but for the everyday person, that's not a very long time. And actually it started when I set a long list of New Year's resolutions a couple of years ago, as we all do at the start of the year. So ambitious, going to do so many things. I was going to run a half marathon. I was going to become fluent in Spanish. Those haven't happened yet. But one of them was to do better when it came to the planet. It was in a time when we were starting to see those really devastating news headlines, things like there's more plastic than fish in the sea, things like, I don't know, 1,580 kilos of rubbish enters our oceans every hour, all of these really horrible headlines. And I'd read these headlines, I'd see the studies, I'd see the statistics, I'd feel really disheartened. And then I would just continue about my day-to-day life. And then I was really frustrated because I was going, well, I keep on reading about what's going wrong. So can somebody just tell me that what I can do to make a difference, to make a change? And when I tried to do just that, it was really difficult. It was hard to find information that was easy, that was actionable, that was simple, that was catered to the everyday person. I felt like there was so much information already out there for people who had been living off the grid, who had been living this way for years and years and years. But for me, I was going, no, we just need it to be so easy that people can do a really small thing and will make a really big difference. Acknowledging that not everyone's going to go full throttle on this, but everybody in the whole entire world can just do a little bit more. So that's why I launched Banish, to teach people and make it actionable. We're kind of like describing ourselves as that best friend, somebody that you can turn to for advice, somebody who can answer those questions, but still also will love you if you do use a single-use coffee cup and say tomorrow, maybe just remember your reusable one.
Yes, I love that. Because when we do look at, like, well, it's like anything, right? When a problem seems so big, it's really overwhelming and you don't know where to start. And sometimes it's like, whether it's our money or stuff like this, it's like, well, the problem's huge. Me doing one thing, does it really have that much of an impact? And it can feel so overwhelming to know where to even start. And then you find people that are doing it and it seems to be, I guess, on such an extreme scale that you can go, well, you can't actually see how that could fit in with your lifestyle.
Exactly. I've tried to do that, be that person that had like their jar filled with all of their rubbish.
I remember that person for it. It was like a year and they had a mason jar, was it?
Exactly. We filled with all of their rubbish and literally I think it took me 5 days and I'd filled up the jar and I was like, I'm done. I'm out. I can't do this. But that's still
probably pretty good. Like that, I imagine for one person's, their household waste, for that to be in 5 days would be a huge
Exactly. And I was trying very hard, but I still filled it up. But that's the whole thing, is I think that we need to be realistic with the fact that we can all just do something. We can all just do a little bit more. Yes, we might go away on holidays and we might lose a couple of those habits. But then when we come back, we can pick them back up again. Or when you go to the shops one time, you might forget your reusable produce bags and have to use a single-use plastic bag. But it's going, well, next time you can just do a little bit more.
Yes, and like people think of this with their finances as well. They give like this all or nothing and they're like, oh, I've stuffed my budget or I've used it, I'll just keep going. And I liken it to like dropping your phone. You know, if you dropped your phone, it got a little crack in it, you would like protect it and you would make sure that like you'd get back on track and you'd look after it and not get any more cracks. And we should treat that with like when we're trying to make changes like this, like it's okay to get a bit off track. Just try to go back to what you're doing. It's still better than not trying at all.
Yeah, I really like that analogy. It's a good one. And I think as well, it's one of those things when I've been having so many conversations with people about living sustainably, so many people, when I would chat to them about it, were like, oh, I would love to. It just costs me too much money.
Yes, that's one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about. One, I want to talk about like the 3 kind of most common myths, but I would think that as well. And I know there's always going to be different degrees, but one common objection that I've even had myself is that it seems so expensive to get started. So I guess let's talk about that first, because I have a feeling you're going to tell us that is one of the myths.
It's a really good one. And I think it's something that everybody feels. It's like, well, I want to do the right thing, but then you go and you look at the shops and you're like, oh my gosh, to buy a reusable water bottle, like the really trendy ones are like $70. Like, why would I do that? That's not going to save me money. But I think what I found in a kind of a commonality through writing this book was that so much of it comes down to not buying anything. It's to reduce your consumption. So you can look, yes, to buy a fancy reusable water bottle or something like that. But I would probably safely say that most households have already got a reusable bottle somewhere in their house. It might not be as pretty as the ones you see online.
It's not the colour that's in trend at the moment.
Exactly, but it's still going to be just fine. When it comes to our fashion purchases, it's estimated that the average Australian woman spends about $2,500 a year on clothing. Australians are the largest consumers of textiles in the whole entire world. So when you go to make a new purchase, it's not making a sustainable purchase. It's actually rethinking and going, do I need to be buying this in the first place? Is there something that I already have at home that I could be re-wearing? Can I borrow something? Can I rent something? It's all about reframing our purchasing decisions, because I think in so many ways at the moment we feel like in order to achieve something, we need to purchase something. And what I'm trying to understand and trying to teach people is to achieve something, you actually don't need to buy anything. And it's a really hard psychological thing, because once you've switched to something like, I don't know, a reusable coffee cup, you go from seeing all of these single-use coffee cups in your bin at home and then to not seeing them at all. And there is no reward mechanism there. You're just kind of then going about your life, and then you build on it. And then you're using your reusable water bottle. And you don't have somebody every day going, hey, Gem, you're amazing.
You're
Keep going.
great. Yeah.
You got this. So I think that's the hardest thing, is that we oftentimes can make a sustainable decision without even realizing it. And all of these small ones do compound. Yes, there are some things that are an upfront investment. Things like, for example, a reusable safety razor, which is a razor that you're going to have quite literally for your whole entire life, that you then just get pure stainless steel blades for. They're like old school razors. They're $43 for a razor. I understand that that is an upfront investment, but I bought that $43 razor 6 years ago, and now it costs me 20 cents per blade. So the longevity of that product is something that now is saving me so much money. So it's one of these things that, yes, some of these swaps are an upfront investment, but if we are able to make those purchases then we are going to start saving in the future. And I think it comes down to things like your grocery shop. When you are looking to save money on the planet, everyone's like, oh, well, you wrote a book which is 365 ways. Can you just tell me the one way that I should be doing? And it's like, well, no, buy the book. But yes, if it was to be one way, it would be food waste. Food waste is the biggest expense to not only households, but also to our planet. If we look at food waste as an industry, it creates more greenhouse gas emissions than the aviation industry and plastic production combined. So just by reducing our food waste, we're having a huge impact on greenhouse gas emissions. But also we throw out about 20% of all of the food that we bring into our house as Australians.
Like every vegetable in my house that I shop for, and then with good intentions, and then the kids don't eat. That's scary, hey, because like right now when we talk to people about their cash flow, cost of living, their budgets, food is the place that it is blowing out so much. Like, and to think how much actual waste is then going from that. Like that's a massive expense. Like most families, I would say, would be spending at least $300 on groceries a week. And for 20% of that to be going in the bin.
It's really quite scary and frightening. And there's so many things that you can do to actually reduce the amount of waste that you're throwing out. Yes, it is having the best intention with kids and having them eat all of their vegetables, but it's also things like how you're storing those vegetables. Are you storing them so that then they're able to have a longer shelf life? It's things like I, for example, wrap all of my herbs and leafy greens in a wet tea towel. So this helps to actually stop all of those greens from wilting, because the tea towel keeps them nice and fresh for
I
longer.
swear I buy like coriander, and by the time I've got home from the supermarket, I'm like, what
happened? Exactly. Like, it's like, I wasn't that bad of a driver. Like everything's gone crazy in the back of the car. It's also, I think, it just comes down to being mindful. So when you do look at your crisper, are you organizing it so that your crisper has one end, which is the things that you need to use up first, and then one end, which is those newer items, because it's so easy to come home from the shops, put all of the fresh, beautiful looking things on top and to forget about those poor soggy cucumbers at the bottom. So it's these little things that everyone's like, this isn't rocket science, this isn't innovation, but just by eating what you've already got is a huge impact that you can have.
Yeah, but and you're right, like none of it is rocket science, and that's kind of when it like money as well. It's not rocket science, but we do need people to remind us and constantly tell us, because we get so busy and then it feels like a big overwhelming problem. I actually saw a hack online. I guess it's like a TikTok or a reel on Instagram, because I'm a millennial and I don't use TikTok. But it was like, I think it was an ADHD hack, and it was keep all of your condiments, like your mayo and stuff, in the crisper, and keep all of your fruit and veg in the doors, because your brain knows that it wants sauce and mayo and stuff, but your brain forgets that it has fresh food and veggies. And I was like, that is so good. I haven't done it, but
this weekend, you're onto it.
But just stuff like that. Like, I think we just need to think of little hacks that are going to make our life easier. Like, it doesn't, just because everybody else does something one way, doesn't mean that you have to. Like, just find the little thing that makes it easier for you.
Exactly. And I think something that I love to do, and we used to do this when we were kids, because I was obsessed with MasterChef when I was growing up, and Mum would make us mystery box challenges, and she would literally just put in everything that we had left in the fridge into a box, and she was like, go, create something. And
that
it's
is
like,
so
well, hang on,
good.
why are we thinking about having to go to the shops? We're built on this kind of convenience. Oh, just duck down. Oh, what do you feel like tonight? Oh, well, let's go down to the shops and get this. Let's get takeaway. It's kind of going, well, no, look at your fridge and then set yourself a challenge of going, well, what could I actually create with what's
and make it a
left in
game
there?
to get the kids involved. And that's like lifelong skills as well, that then they're going to learn. And my kids would have no
Exactly.
idea how to cook or
Well,
even eat a vegetable. But if I actually did stuff like that to get them involved,
and then
it.
they'll get excited about it. And even if it does taste horrible, they can be like, okay, maybe too much soy sauce and salt. Let's change it up next time. But I think it's also about bringing people along on the journey. And I think, like when you're talking about your finances, if you're in a household and you're the only person who's on this journey, it's really hard. It's really difficult to be that person who's like, well, I don't want to go out because I'm trying to save my money and I don't want to eat takeaway food. And it's the same with living sustainably. If you've got somebody who wants to, I don't know, do the right thing and is trying to reduce their waste as much as possible, and then you've got somebody walking through the door with 10 different single-use plastic items, it's really difficult. And that's why I think so much of it is about building that support network and about bringing people along with you on the journey. And everyone's at different stages, but that's fine. And everyone's always going to be at different stages. But the people who are a little bit further ahead can help the other ones. But also, if you are at the start of your journey, you have so many options. You don't have to do it all. You just have to do a couple of small things.
Yeah, those small steps. You just got to get started right, and then it can snowball. And I think people think like they need to overhaul everything in one go if they're going to do stuff like this. But I love the idea of like the community and an accountability partner for any kind of goal, whether it's fitness, finance, and stuff like this. Like you gave the example of the coffee cup, like nobody's saying, well done to you. But like, imagine if you and your girlfriend were trying to do it at the same time, you had like a group chat and you were like, just did this. So you actually got that little like reward. They were like, yeah, go.
Exactly.
Or maybe like if you don't have somebody that you're doing it with, I'm sure there's Facebook groups, or like, do you have like a community of people that like kind of share tips and stuff like that?
Exactly. Yeah. So we have a Facebook group called Sustainable Swappers. It's also the same as a broadcast channel on Instagram. And it's just really lovely to see people come together and to make those switches, but also acknowledging that it's fine when you mess up. Like what you were saying before, I kind of give the analogy of like when you're starting like a new health and fitness regime, like if you decided to quit sugar, start training for a marathon, decide that you're going to enter a bodybuilding competition all on the one day, there is a very slim chance that you're actually going to be able to maintain that. And when it comes to living sustainably, we need it, pun intended, to be sustainable. We need it to be something that you can do for a very long time. And it's going to be difficult at first, but then it just builds and it compounds. And there's probably so many things that you're doing already that you don't actually realize are good for the planet.
Yes. So I actually have a question about that, but let's go back. So 3 myths. So one we've addressed a lot, which is expensive to start. It's absolutely not, just slowly start doing it. And there's lots of different things you can do. What do you think the other 2 kind of top myths are around when it comes to sustainable living?
I think that one of the biggest myths is that as an individual, you can't have an impact. And I think that's a really big one, is that if we all felt like that and if we all acted like that, then we wouldn't be able to change anything. And I think that as a collective group and a community, we're able to together make a really big impact and a big difference. And I think something that I talk a lot about is your purchasing decisions. If everybody in your local area went to your local supermarket and bought the loose carrots over the packaged carrots, you would see very quickly that that supermarket would adapt and evolve to have a very large section of loose carrots and a very small section of packaged carrots. There is so much that we can do as a group and as individuals, and I think that's something that I really, really believe in. I think another myth is that it's up to the next generation to do it. And I do a lot of
it's like somebody else's problem.
Yeah, exactly. That it's kind of like, it's your future. You've got this, like, let's fix everything that everybody else has messed up in the past. And for me, because I do so much work with young people, it's really frustrating. I'm on a lot of panels as a young person talking to people about this, and it's kind of going, well, just give it a red hot shot. You've got however many years left. Just really try and do better for the planet now. It's not just for one generation to fix everything that everyone's done in the past. You've just acknowledged that, yes, your generation hasn't been the best that it could have been. So why not just give it a go now and start trying and start being a bit better? And I think that's the big thing, is it's not on just one demographic to do it. It's about everybody stepping up.
And that's a lot of pressure to put on one generation as well.
It is. And I meet these amazing people who are kind of 14, 15, talking about all of the work that they're doing. And I just look at them going, you're amazing. But also I want you to have the childhood that I had, which was fun and free and not
with
worrying about all of this
burden.
pressure. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I really would love to see. If we can all step up together, it doesn't just feel like the weight is on their shoulders.
Yeah, love it. So you mentioned that there's probably things in our everyday lives that a lot of us are already doing, but I wanted to kind of hone in on, because I always talk about in finances, there's habits that people that are good on paper, like that should be good, but in day-to-day life, they don't actually really work for most people, or we think they're good habits, but they're actually kind of like holding us back or doing more harm than good. Is there stuff like that we kind of give ourselves a pat on the back for, that we think is a good sustainable move in our households that maybe actually isn't? Can you think of anything? Oh, actually, so I already had this question written for you. I just saw this week that one of the major cling film, I don't want to say their name.
Supermarket, brands.
Just got fined over $8 million for misrepresenting how their like sustainable, eco-friendly plastic was made.
Exactly. So this was one of the brands that created garbage bag liners, and they got fined, that $8 million because they were misleading individuals and through their marketing. So on the outside of packaging were claims, I don't know them off the top of my head, but there was something like a percentage of this is made from ocean-bound plastic or recycled ocean-bound plastic or something like that. And pretty much all of the deep diving happened from the ACCC, and it came out that it was not ocean-bound plastics, and it was actually sourced from Indonesia, I think, and that was where the plastic was coming from. So what we call this is greenwashing. And greenwashing is where a brand will intentionally mislead somebody in terms to kind of prey on that desire for them to live more sustainably. So, for example, it could be making claims like this. Sometimes it could even be as simple as having something in your cleaning product aisle that is, I don't know, a cleaning product that's wrapped in brown craft paper that has lots of different leaves all over it. And there might be like, I don't know, some like beautiful, like, I don't know, a sun or the earth. And so this brand hasn't actually told us that this product is sustainable, but the way that they have marketed their packaging, we are subconsciously reaching for that product thinking that it is better for the planet.
We're just making the assumption. Yeah.
Exactly. So when you see claims like eco, green, or natural, there is no gravitas behind these. There is no meaning behind something. So you could call something like an eco-green cleaning product and it could be filled with bleach because those terms don't have—
they're not protected.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so there is no green tick of approval in Australia, which means that it's really difficult for us to know what we should and shouldn't be buying. You can't look at the back of the pack and go, great, big green tick. There's none of that. So it's really difficult. And I think as sustainability becomes more trendy, I guess you could call it, brands want to appeal to this kind of element that we're trying to become more sustainable. So we're seeing it more and more happening in shelves. I think the biggest and most prevalent aisles are the cleaning aisle and also the beauty aisle. So they're ones to be wary of. And it's kind of what I talk about in the book is how to figure out if a brand is doing the right thing.
Yeah, that's so important. So that, yeah, I think that would be one of the, probably the major thing that we do in our households is we think that we're doing the right thing because we're like, oh yeah, it says eco or it says this. And then we're not actually doing a deep dive into, is it actually
the good thing? And I think that's the hardest thing. And this is why I always say to people, if you've still got a product at home, use it up. Use up whatever you've got. Don't be inspired by this chat and go home and like clear out your whole entire household filled with all of your plastics. No. Once you have finished with those items, then make a sustainable switch. But it's almost like when you get to that 10% left mark, start your research then. Because it's when you're in a rush, you're madly trying to do something, you're like, oh my gosh, we need more kitchen spray. What are we going to do? That's when you make that rush decision, and that's when you're most likely to get caught by greenwashing because you're just trusting what these brands are saying on the outside of the pack without having the time to look behind at what's actually going on.
That is a great tip because I would be exactly the same. We're in the supermarket where the kids are like running crazy or we're trying to like get home from work and you don't want to be looking through, like reading the backs of them and researching and then jumping on your phone and Googling while you're in the aisle. You do need to do this stuff beforehand. That's a really, really good idea. And I think you said, maybe it's in the book or something else I saw you on, it was like, we were talking about it before, kind of like the best thing that you can do is not buy anything. So if you already have this stuff, don't throw it out and start again from scratch. Just use it all up and that's going to help your wallet as well.
Totally. And I think there's so many times, like even me now, I've been living this way for so long, I still find like brand new beauty products in the back of my cupboard. I'm like, how long have you been there for? Because obviously there must have been like a buy two, get one free or some kind of special and I stocked up when I didn't need to. And now I'm still getting through those supplies. It's frustrating because yes, I want to try something new, but I'm also like, no, well, I've already got it. I've already spent the money. Let's use it up and then make a switch.
Yeah, love it. And so there, you talk about like the 9 R's. And you've actually mentioned some already, but let's go through those. And then there's like 4 key questions in helping you make purchasing decisions, which we've talked about the best decision is not to make a purchase. But if we're going to, kind of what should we be thinking about?
Yeah, I think these are 2 really big, juicy topics. For me, when it comes to making a purchasing decision, particularly something when it comes to like fashion or lifestyle and things like that, what I'm thinking or asking myself is, how many uses or wears am I going to get out of this product? Who made this product? What is it made from? Is it made from natural fibers? Is it made from recycled products? And then how long is it going to last and where will it end up? Because if I'm seeing, say, for example, an item that is a t-shirt that is for sale for $4 and I'm going, well, who made this is probably at least 3 or 4 different people that were involved in the production of this, at least. How were they being paid correctly for this item? And then also looking at the composition of it. If it's something that is made from polyester, it's going to last 300 to 400 years before it breaks down. So it's not going to disintegrate and dissolve or anything like that. It is going to outlive me. So using those questions is something that I help guide my decision-making process, because then I can go, okay, if this is an item that yes, is a little bit more expensive, but I can say confidently, I've got at least 3 or 4 different occasions and I'm going to wear that item in the next 2 months. Then I know that people have been paid fairly for the actual production of this product. And then I know exactly that where will it end up? It's a really great quality product. So I'll probably be able to donate it to my local op shop, and then somebody else will get some really good wear out of it as well. So that's something that I kind of use as my guide, and something that I saw the other day online, which was a really good reminder, was somebody said, would you buy this if it wasn't on sale? And I think that was a really good thing to kind of say, oh, well, you look at this item now and you go, oh, great, like 70% off, only costs me $30 now. But would you be happy paying $100 for that product? And would you still love it so much? Or are you just buying it because of all of the sale bonanza and craze?
Because you're wanting a little high, like chasing that feeling that you get from shopping.
Such a bargain. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's something that we get so trapped into. And I know when I used to buy a lot more clothing, there were so many things hanging in my cupboard with tags on them because I'd grab them for a steal thinking that they were great just because it was so much money that I was saving, where in actual fact, the biggest saving would have been just not buying that at all.
Yeah. Or you buy stuff, which I'm very guilty of, thinking you're going to be a whole different person. You're like, oh, I would love to wear that. It looks so good on like the model or this other person. And you're like, yeah. And you will never wear it because it's not your style or whatever. You're like, you're not going to be a new person. Like like me, I wear beige and black pretty much. That's it. Like, don't buy any more floral dresses. You're not going to wear them.
Yeah.
So yes, you can, like, I guess it's easy to say, yep, we need to pay for more quality, but it does come with a cost. And, you know, that is a luxury that people are struggling with at the moment. But I guess we don't have to buy new either. Like if it's quality, you said, yes, you can donate it to your op shop, or your local, you know, charity shop. Yeah, so you can get stuff like that. You can buy secondhand things. And if it is quality, chances are that it's going to last somebody else handing it down as well.
Exactly. So I don't buy any denim new because I think denim is something that really fluctuates with trends all the time. Skinny jeans, straight leg jeans, flares, whatever it is. And also denim is really a very, what we would call intensive material to produce from a planetary perspective. But buying secondhand denim is the best thing that I've ever done. It is soft. It fits me well. You don't need to wear it in. It is just so great. And I think if you grab it again for a portion of the price, there are so many things that you can get from your local thrift stores or op shops that are perfect and are probably in better condition and better quality than a lot of the materials that are coming out on the market right now as well. And I also love what I call the surprise chain of a thrift store. You're not going in there coming out looking like one of the models that you see on Instagram. You're not going to look the same as everybody else because you're going to have your own unique flair and your own unique touch. And what you were saying before, Gem, about you never wearing floral dresses, I found now that I really do steer more towards block colors because I find that block colors in particular have a longer shelf life in terms of trends with prints. So for me personally, I'm somebody who would opt for a block color more. So you just kind of figure it out. And I also find it so much faster because I know my colors, like you, and op shops are organized by colors. So for you, you'd be the fastest op shopper around. You'd be like, beige section, black section, out.
Like t-shirts, that's me.
Yeah, exactly, which is really great because then you can kind of you don't have to browse floors and floors of a shopping center just in case you find that item.
Yeah. And you like if op shops aren't your thing, they're definitely my thing. Love a bargain. But you can go to so many different places. So you've got eBay, you've got like Facebook, buy, swap and sells. And if you're like into a particular brand, you can go on that particular page as well. That is a
Depop is
great one.
Yeah, I've also been loving, had some girlfriends do it lately where they'll do a like Instagram sale and they literally just are like, I'm clearing out my closet. Who wants these items? Put them up. And it's so fun because oh my gosh, I've always loved that dress on you. Yes.
Yeah.
I will take it for an absolute steal. And it's so nice. And for them, it's just a great way for then me wearing it the next time we catch up or something like that too. So it's just about reframing that consumption again and looking at these items like they are resources and not waste. So we only wear 1/3 of our wardrobe. What happens to the rest of it? Are we going to be able to wear it? I've really stepped it up and I've started wearing a lot more of the things that I've got in there. There are so many different items I'd look at and I was like, oh, that's a really nice top. I'll save it when I've got a nice top event. I don't go to many nice top events. So now I'm just wearing it to the office. And because I'm like, why not? I may as well put these items to use. And then there are still items in there that I'm going, well, I have no use for this. And when I do declutter, which so many Australians love to declutter, it's going, well, do you need to replace that space? If you weren't using that extra 1/3, then maybe just leave it out.
Yes. Yeah. All the extra space. That is a massive win. I guess that's like one of the things, like if you're buying less groceries, if you're buying less clothes, you're just using what you have. Imagine all the less space we're going to have, all the more space we're going to have, less junk in our houses.
And just the less decisions. Oh, opening up the cupboard and not having to fossick and dive and dig for things because I'm going, well, I know that I've only got one black tie dress that I wear.
Yeah.
Done. Easy. Set. It's
Always
so
looks
much
good,
easier.
just works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so if people are listening and they want to make sustainable changes, I guess our takeouts are just start small with the things that you can actually control. And that sounds like for most of us, it's going to be in our cupboards and our fridges.
Exactly. It's that next purchasing decision you go to make. When you open up the browser to online shop or to go to the supermarket or your local store, it's to kind of go, what do I need this item first and foremost? Do I already have something at home that I can make use with? I think another big takeaway for me is that small steps will make a big difference. Yes, it may seem really insignificant to start using a reusable coffee cup, but that's if you have one coffee a day, that's 365 cups kept out of landfill every year. Just try and phrase it like that. And it's fine if you mess up and you fall off the horse. Just get back on and keep on going, because I think it's really easy to feel alone. And what I really hope that people feel after this conversation is that it's not about everyone doing it perfectly. It's about us all just having a good shot at it, doing a little bit more than we're already doing.
I love that. And I think you just need to, like with anything, you need to find what you gravitate to. So it might actually be the landfill thing, like it might be making a difference, or you might not care so much right now about that. And it might be the saving money side, but the knock-on effect is for the planet. Or it might be for the planet, but the knock-on effect is your wallet. Like, I think we don't all have to have this is going to sound terrible, but the best of it intentions to do something that knock-on effect has great like benefits for other people. So
exactly,
like maybe if you're in the stores and you don't buy something, maybe instead, you're going to buy spend $20 on something. Maybe you jump on your banking app and you transfer that $20 into your holiday account or your saving or off debt. And then you get that little reward, that little high. Like, so haven't made a purchase, you've saved, and maybe you put some money towards your goal. Like there's different ways. You just need to find what motivates you to make small changes. And it doesn't always have to be for the planet. It can be selfish, but I think there's going to be lots of knock-on effects and lots of benefits, even if that wasn't your initial intention.
Exactly. No, I love that idea. It's even like when you often I keep on going on about coffee cups, but if you use your reusable coffee cup, so many different places will give you 50 cents off. So it could be something
we love
like
saving.
Instead of, no one does those loyalty cards anymore where they're like, buy 5 coffees, get one free. But technically, by using your reusable cup for 5 days, you are getting a coffee free.
That's so good.
So and then you can be like, you're like, freebie Friday. And they're like, what? But pay
like,
me.
joke's on you. No, yeah, I love that. Whatever in your brain makes you go, yes, this is like, yeah, fun and the reward. That's what you got to do.
And I think that's the fun thing about it is it doesn't have to be like, we're not saying that you have to quit and you're never going to use plastic ever again. You're never going to spend money ever again. It's going, no, you definitely can, but it's about being more conscious with that spending. And I think it's that frivolous spending that undoes us from a financial perspective, but also from a planetary perspective too.
So great. Well, before we wrap up, I always like to ask my guests, and I don't actually know how old you are, so which you don't have to say, but I don't know how relevant this question's going to be, but I always ask my guests, what do you wish you knew about money and life, either, when you were 20-year-old self?
That's a good question.
I don't know how long ago that was
No,
for you.
don't worry.
It was a long time ago for me.
I'm definitely older than 20. I can assure you that.
You're like, well, last year.
No. I think for me, it would be that joy and happiness doesn't come from stuff. It comes from making memories. And I think that's something that I learned maybe in the last 5 or 6 years after doing this. It's about when it comes to birthdays or experiences or catching up with friends, I'm now asking myself, what memories can I create? And I think that that's been such a big thing for reframing how I do it. And I think back when I was probably 2021, it was about what monetary thing would get me to X, and then I would feel so happy with blah, blah, blah. And now it's kind of going, well, if I do have a birthday coming up, do we need to be spending a lot of money on a long lunch as a group of girlfriends? Or could we be doing something that's completely bizarre and strange, but we'll all look back on and laugh and go, I can't believe that we did axe throwing for your birthday. Like all of these random things. It just comes down to, I think, ultimately creating memories. And that could come from a gifting perspective. It could come from just a day-to-day catching up with a girlfriend. It could be anything. And it doesn't need to cost money. It doesn't need to cost the planet. But I think it just helps you live life.
That's great. I think I definitely could have done with that insight at 20 as well. My investment portfolio, my bank account, and the planet would be very different. Well, thank you so much for joining us. But before we let you go, where can people connect with you and, of course, buy the book?
All of the places. So the book is available from all good bookshops, including Booktopia, Big W, Amazon. You can connect with me online. I am on TikTok. My name spelt fully at Lottie Dalziel, on Instagram at Lottie DL, or you can also follow along Banish if you want to learn about any educational tips and tricks, and that's at banish.au on TikTok and on Insta.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. You're doing amazing work in this space and making it easy for all of us to jump on board. So very, very thankful for your time and keep up the great work.
Thanks, Gem. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching this video on the Rask Network. While you're here, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can get videos each and every day on business, finance, investing, and so much more.